My name is Eric Kinsey. I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana, and you're listening to Rulers and Riders, the podcast where we talk to creative people about what they do and what they ride. My guest this week on the show is Winston Wolf. Winston is a photographer, artist, and motorcycle enthusiast from South Louisiana. Talk about how he got a start in the art world, his work on some movie productions in Louisiana, and as well as we had a brief discussion about some of the issues that are going on in the South right now. Generally speaking, I don't like to talk about politics on my show. I do have my own personal opinions, but I try to keep them separate. However, sometimes things come up in conversation, and if I and the guest feel strongly enough about them, we'll have a discussion. And we did that. And if it's not a side of the argument you've been exposed to before, it might be something that you might want to hear. If you hate it, let me know. You can give me feedback through the Instagram. If you like it, same thing. Generally, when I'm a fan of a podcast, I don't care to hear about politics. I have other podcast outlets for that. Sometimes I just want to hear about music or movies or whatever. But like I said, it came up in conversation, and we both had strong opinions about it. So if you don't like it, fast forward through it. We're all adults here, and we can take a little conversation or avoid it as it fits us. Pretty good talk. We kept this one to around an hour, not like my marathon conversation on the last show. I think you'll enjoy it. Winston's a real cool, interesting dude, and real charming, and just a good guy. I really enjoyed talking to him. Let's talk to Winston.
Jambalaya, crawfish pie, and filet gumbo. My Yvonne, the sweetest one on the bow. Flip my lid and love the kid, me oh my oh. Son of a gun, we make big fun on the bow. Goodbye, Joe, I gotta go, me oh my oh. Gotta go pull the pirogue down the bow. My Yvonne, the sweetest one, me oh my oh. Son of a gun, we make big fun on the bow.
All right, so we're rolling. So yeah, man, I think I came across you on Instagram, and then we became Facebook buddies too. And it's cool. It's always cool to like find artists from the South, because like my mom's from Tennessee, and so I have like I'm half like Southern and half like, Midwestern. So that's where my Instagram handle, Who's Your Dixie, that's where that comes from. And I've always equated the Southern sensibility to my family, and it's always been, like a real homey thing to me, like growing up in Indiana. And so whenever I see like a vital artist from the South, I'm always like, yeah, I want to talk to that dude, because it just seems like it's not as as pervasive a thing in the South. It seems like kind of more like working artists are sort of harder to come by. So I was real intrigued by you and sort of your whole approach and your aesthetic.
Right on.
So where were you born?
I was born south of Lafitte, small fishing village called south of New Orleans, actually. A small fishing village named called Lafitte, after the pirate.
Right.
Dean Lafitte.
Right.
My dad was oil field, upgrading production platforms in the Gulf.
Uh-huh.
My mom worked in a shrimp factory when she was 16,
Yeah.
dealing shrimp.
Right.
And my dad was on a shrimp boat. If he wasn't upgrading a production platform or drilling, he was on a shrimp boat. And I was knee-high to a grasshopper out there in the Gulf, pulling nets. And it's always been a working atmosphere, and it's always been we take care of our own and provide for our own kind of feel,
Yeah, for sure. And Louisiana is just like, it seems like it's kind of like it's its own thing, man. It's just like its whole own like culture and subcultures and like way of life.
Oh, yeah. It's a giant mixing pot, man. We've got, the Cajuns from Acadiana.
Sure.
We've got New Orleans, which is just, it's the gateway to the South. Basically, we still have immigrants. We still have undocumented workers. We still have, and it all goes unchecked here and there. It goes checked too.
Uh-huh.
It's a give and take kind of thing.
Right.
But there's no lack of culture whatsoever. And
no
lack of wildlife. Everything wants to kill you. So it's kind of like the Australia of the United States.
Yeah. I remember reading in a Hank Williams biography, and he said that like the Gulf Coast was his favorite place to play, especially in Louisiana. He said that like his favorite shows and favorite people to play with were always like in Louisiana, and I could totally see why.
The party never stopped.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, what's your family heritage like? Just out of curiosity.
I'm actually half Native American. I'm Houma tribe from Houma, which is a city in Louisiana.
Sure.
On the Gulf, right on the coast, small town. But yeah, I'm Houma tribe. I'm registered Native American. I'm about as Cajun as they get. I don't carry the Cajun accent due to my traveling and working on the West Coast and the East Coast and up north.
Right.
So I learned how to blend in just a little bit, but it's still there when it needs to be.
Right. Get you out of trouble if you need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man. So, do you have any brothers or sisters?
Oh yeah, I got a younger brother and a younger sister. I'm the oldest sibling.
Yeah.
I'll actually turn 38 this June. I'll be 38.
Dang, you're still young, man.
Yeah, and we just found out yesterday we got a baby on the way.
Oh,
so
congratulations!
Pretty stoked about that, and kind of kicks things into high gear.
Yeah,
we're doing it.
It does.
We're doing it.
It does.
We're happy.
Yeah. And what's your girl's name?
Lauren.
Lauren. Yeah.
Yeah. She's from Georgia, actually. She's from North Georgia. We're looking at moving up to North Georgia, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Lumpkin County area. Yeah. Yeah, we want to go and, find a little spot and plant some roots and go from there,
Yeah.
Louisiana's cool, and I've grown up here, and I love it. It's my home. But, I've got a kid on the way. I've already got one, he's 9. And it's just time for something a little different for a little while, It'll always be home. Right.
Yeah, and I'm sure, of course, she wants to be close to her family with the baby and whatnot.
Yeah. I've got my family, but it's not as thick as hers, and not as, bountiful. She's got a ton of family members, man.
Right. So,
yeah. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah.
We're just kind of playing it by ear to see what happens, how everything goes. But
yeah. Man.
Business is good, so we can't complain.
Yeah. Yeah, that North Georgia area, when you go, sort of like, I can't remember, LaSantville or Thomasville, like just south of Knoxville. Man, I always run into traffic there. It's just like, it's like there and Atlanta are just like the two worst traffic jams whenever I travel south, and it's horrible. So hopefully you're not close to that.
Well, I tell you, they've got nothing on the West Coast. So traffic out there is it's unbelievable. Every time I go, I'm amazed every time. Every single time.
Yeah.
It never changes. It's always a sea of cars.
Yeah. I was out in LA last summer. I took a trailer of bikes out for Born Free last year, and dude, it was a hell trip. It was just like The truck broke down twice, or I'd gotten in a wreck. The truck I was going to drive out there, that truck got in a wreck, and the insurance company, Allstate, dicked me around forever. They were going to fix the truck and then didn't fix it, and then just kept going back and forth. So I had to take our old beater work truck.
Wow.
Yeah, fuel gauge went bad, thermostat went bad, and water pump went bad, like all within the first 3 days. Like I got.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so I'm pulling a trailer with like 8 bikes. 2 of them are in the show. One of them belongs to Josh Kerpius. So I'm just like, well, I can't really I can't go back home. So anyway, we get there, man, and I'm in my dually work truck. I finally get it back on the road, fixing everything. But I'm pulling this like 26-foot box trailer. And like some of the really old freeways in LA are just like not made for modern vehicles at all. Like they're super narrow, and the turns are real tight and everything. And so that sucked. And then just the traffic jams and just, it was awful, dude. I mean, I don't know how people out there do it. I mean, even splitting lanes to go like 30 miles takes 2 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
Yeah.
And I mean, it's rad. Like, I love LA. Like, LA is just awesome. But just to get from like point A to point B, it's like going to war, dude. I mean, it's terrible.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I went out there last year. I tend to travel out there quite a bit. But this last, I count it by the season. So this last season I was there. It was a nightmare. It was a total nightmare. But I ended up doing the Kernville camp out up in Kern County, which was pretty rad. Those Built Well dudes threw a party. Dirty's Moonshine was there, throwing it down. Got the entire party pretty drunk. We shot up from the Central Valley in a 52 panel wagon, loaded down with moonshine. Rolled up to we were still in moonshine. 6 o'clock that morning, and shot up there to the party with it, still hot and fresh,
Right.
So, and it was a good time. Met a lot of good people. It was definitely something to experience. Out there, bike culture is totally different than here.
Right.
Here we have some clubs. We have a lot of independent riders. Me personally, I'm not a club guy. I've been riding dirt bikes and 3-wheelers and 4-wheelers. And I'm a motor guy. If it's got a motor and wheels, I want to ride it.
Right. Yeah.
But it's a whole different scene. It's a different world. And we used to have this saying, whatever's cool on the West Coast takes about 10 years to get here to the Gulf Coast.
Right.
And that's absolutely true.
Right.
It's absolutely true. Those guys have been building long bikes, childbirds and all this stuff for a while. And it's finally starting to trickle down across the deserts, across Texas, from here and there. Yeah. We're starting to see some builders here. We're starting to see some shows. Got the Moto show in November that kicks off in at Big Sleazy Incorporated. Those guys are really cool. So they're doing the thing, and I think it's their 4th year running. So it's getting bigger. I'll be down there selling prints and taking pictures and all that good stuff and rubbing elbows. Yeah,
for sure, man.
Getting my name out.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about in this game, is getting your name out. Man, everybody's got a camera, everybody's got a phone, so everybody's a photographer.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like the odd man out sometimes, showing up at these events with a big giant camera and everybody's walking around taking pictures in portrait mode, and I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, and I really feel odd when I show up with 35 millimeter gear. I'm on the crank and film, and people are looking at me real funny, like, dude, that camera's older than all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I do.
Yeah.
I shoot digital primarily, but I do run 35 millimeter. I have converters for lenses for digital.
Nice.
So I shoot a lot of full blast. And
cool.
that kind of gives my pictures a unique look, I guess.
Yeah. For sure.
I get a lot of I get a lot of questions like, do you ever do movies? Do you ever make films? Your pictures look like scenes from films.
They do?
Nah. I don't. But I did. I learned on films. I learned lighting and grip work on films when we had our great Hollywood South boom.
Right.
And they started making movies here and all this. Well, it all flopped, tax purposes.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting 12 films under my belt. And that's kind of where everything started, really.
Damn.
For photography for me with the films.
Let's like kind of go back. Let's back up a little bit. So when you're a kid and you're in South Louisiana and you're like helping Dad on the shrimp boat and
Right.
and Mom and just kind of living there, where did that? How did you get into art from having that kind of like upbringing?
I didn't get into art until way later. When I was 33, actually.
Dang.
I was, I didn't do anything other than, take a picture here or there. But I had a buddy who had a band, and he needed some pictures taken. And I was the only one available. And he came to me with a camera, actually. He said, look, man, take these pictures of my band. You use them, you can keep the camera.
Oh.
Well, I took the pictures.
Yeah.
And he ended up letting me keep the camera. Well, it kind of snowballed after that. Bands piled up. And then it was, hey, man, he's taking pictures of our band. My girlfriend's an aspiring model. Would you do some shots of her?
Right.
So from that, it kind of just took off, really, and I kind of went with it, because I found I had an eye for it. I got a lot of compliments, so I just kind of stuck with it, Graphic design kind of came out of necessity.
Right.
I was looking for somebody to make me a logo for my business. Couldn't find anybody to make what I wanted, so I pirated some software, took an old computer, put it together, and started to learn to draw, really, digitally.
Right.
And that's where I'm at now. I've been plugging at it since I was 33, hence the name 33 Photography. Really, when it all kind of took off.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Right.
But my parents, neither one of my parents are artists or musicians, or they're just hardworking people. They don't do anything other than plant vegetables. And, their art is life. That's what they do. They live.
Yeah. Good old working people, man. The best.
Oh yeah.
The best people.
Love them to death.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what were you doing between being a little kid on the shrimp boat and getting into photography at 33?
Being a shithead, riding dirt bikes, being a kid, really. I mean, not until I was 33, but, just living, working. I went to high school, did that whole thing. High school was rough. I didn't fit in too well. I had an accident. I was kind of overweight.
Yeah.
Long hair.
Right.
Got picked on a lot. But I didn't let it get me down. I kept on plugging, finished school. And, I really didn't have any desire to go to college. I wanted to go to work because I wanted stuff.
Right.
I wanted my own things, I didn't grow up with a lot of money, but I didn't go without,
Right.
But I just wanted my own things. I wanted my own freedom, so I finished school, and I just kind of bounced around, worked a lot of construction, fab shop jobs, film industry. Did that for a while.
Yeah.
Pulling grip work,
How'd you get into that?
But the film work, I was actually in a pasture with my dad, pulling a fence, and guy showed up in a Jeep. They were scouting locations, and he needed somebody to show him around. He didn't have a clue where it was. So I got his number. He hauled ass, neck deck, and ring, and jumped in his Jeep with him. We rode around, and Easy Rider was filmed not even a quarter of a mile from my house, the end scene.
Oh, damn,
where they
that's
pull
awesome.
him off the bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right here on the Levee Road. It's all those scenes where they camp out. When they get into Louisiana, all that stuff was shot in my area. Like, in
Oh,
my
rad,
neighborhood,
man.
literally.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I took him around and showed him all that stuff, and, you know, we got talking, and he brought me in on one of his first films he was doing. He was actually the director, and he brought me in on one of his first films, which was called Terror on the Bayou.
Uh-huh.
Typical story, lost kids in a cabin, somebody's trying to kill them. You know, ends up being some of the kids, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up working on another film in Baton Rouge called Hood Hostages. These were all urban themed films for young urban Americans, right?
Yeah.
Worked on that one, you know, and it just kind of took off from there, and I got a reputation for being a good hand at doing grip work and lighting, and I got my training from a guy named Phil Beard. Phil Beard's first film was Friday the 13th.
Oh, damn.
That he did grip and lighting work on. So I was trained by him. And, yeah, it just and I'm actually getting back into it. I did one movie a while back I did a little lighting on. It's a shark movie.
Uh-huh.
It's Mississippi River shark or some shit like that. Yeah, it was a cool little job, you know. 7 days of filming wasn't too bad.
Yeah. You didn't get to work on True Detective, did you?
No.
Damn it.
No.
Damn it.
No, I think I was, when all that was going down and all that, I was out of state. I was out in California, actually.
Yeah. I love that one, man.
They're starting to build it back up, and there's going to be, you know, more stuff shot here and all of that. So I'll probably jump on a project here and there because I've still got friends in the industry.
Right.
So
Yeah. And
there's no...
yeah, and you know, it's like a good kind of work where it's like it's great for an artist because it's like you can jump in, work for a while, make some money, make some friends, make some contacts, and then like when the job's over, you can go back to doing your art or traveling or whatever, and then you know
Right.
like all these people that'll call you or you can call them for jobs. It's a good gig, dude.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, you know, through social media and stuff like that, you know, with getting the word out, it's like, within the last month, I've had 5 or 6 offers to come down to different clubs in New Orleans that have big giant signs that say no professional photo gear.
Right.
Well, now I'm the bee's knees, and I've gotten invites from a few of them to come down and, you know, talk about booking for shows and big traveling bands like Mega, Headline and Act and whatnot. So that's kind of, you know, 10 years later, it's kind of doing its thing. You know?
Yeah. That's rad, man. That's awesome.
I'm not complaining whatsoever.
So,
you know,
now are you living in New Orleans right now?
no, I'm actually 100 miles north of the city.
Okay.
Yeah, I live out near Chafalaya Basin, pretty much in the middle of the swamp.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too noisy down there, man. Too hectic. City's being run into the ground by politicians. People are going nuts.
Man.
Nothing cool to look at. They're taking all the statues, man.
Man, you know what? I usually don't, you know, I mean, you follow me on Instagram, but I usually don't talk about politics on my show. But taking down those statues, dude, that is the biggest crock of shit. I mean, that...
Yeah, it's hilarious because not 15 minutes away from my house, from my driveway where I'm standing right now, there's a Civil War fort with a museum.
Yeah.
The last battleground in the city. And it's, you know, it's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. It's great. And nobody's mentioned it. Nobody said anything about it.
No.
You know.
No.
But these statues that have been there for, you know, ages are causing a problem.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Well,
It's ridiculous.
like I went to college for history, right? So I've read like all
Right.
you know all kinds of history books and traveled battlefields and monuments and stuff. And I read this book years ago called what the hell was it called? think it was called like Lies Across America or something. But it was about it was about how Civil War statues are all over the United States. And the reason why is because before Lincoln was assassinated, one of his, sayings was like, malice toward none, charity for all. And, Lincoln being from Kentucky and his dad being a slave catcher and his mom, or his wife's family, like ran a slave market in Lexington, he had like both sides of it. And then he moved to Indiana and then Illinois. So he knew like both sides. He knew like the old South, and then he knew like, living in the North on the other side of the river. So he very much was like a figure, and I'm not a big Lincoln fan, but he was like definitely like a transitional figure, like he could move between the worlds sort of. And he really had a lot of sympathy for the South. Like, I mean, he absolutely did. And so when the war was over, he was just like, all right, the war's over, they surrendered, let's just go back to being Americans. Like, that was his whole thing. He was just like... And so then he got assassinated, and then you had the Reconstruction and, like, all of that, bullshit. And, I mean, like, my family from Tennessee, like, they couldn't vote, I mean, they had to, burn down the courthouse in the county to keep from being arrested. Just like crazy stuff we can't even imagine our ancestors doing, just to, like, survive. And so after Reconstruction, after 1877, all these Southerners were like, oh, we can, move west or, whatever. And there was just this, like, big spirit of, like, national reconciliation. And that's why all the monuments are there. It's just to be like, okay, well, the war's over. We need to remember this. And we need to, like, have sympathy for each other and, like, reconcile.
Right.
And, dude, across the street from where I live, there's this big park. And there's actually a Civil War monument in the park. And I put pictures of it on my Instagram. But it's literally exactly for that. It's just like to remember the Southern soldiers who died in, detention camps here, and not to forget the Civil War. And so when I see the pictures of those monuments come down, I'm just like, it's like people are like wanting to pick a fight,
And it cost the state of Louisiana almost $30 million to remove those statues.
Yeah.
People are dying on Louisiana streets on bikes because of potholes.
Right.
Like 10 potholes you can stand knee deep in New Orleans.
Right.
And $30 million to move some statues is just absurd when we need that money to go to help the people of New Orleans, to help the people of Louisiana.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
It's just absurd.
Absolutely.
It's absurd. And the whole time we knew we were watching, and we were just adding up dollars. We knew it was going to be in the millions.
Right.
It was just ridiculous. And now our statues are stored in the record lot, outside, birds shitting on them, leaning sideways. No respect, no honor, no grace, no nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
And we're expected just to swallow it and go on.
And it's so, to me, as someone with Southern heritage, it's insulting, man. I mean, it's like, it's like a slap in the face. Like, I don't have any cause, defend the Confederacy or whatever like that. That's all done, man. Like, people are just defending their homes, just like average people,
Yep.
So to see those statues come, and then I was heard something where, like, I guess the mayor of New Orleans has a buddy who has a Civil War museum, and is gonna sell the statues to him, and he's gonna display the statues in his museum and charge people to look at them, like charge admission.
That's probably right.
Yeah.
And it's this whole Mitch Landrieu's a white supremacist and all this stuff, and so many conflicting views on the dude. He's got a black mistress and a half child with the woman. You know, like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And there was like one of the, I can't remember who it was, one of the statues in New Orleans that they brought down because of like, you know, racism or whatever. But the dude was like, after the Civil War, like his whole thing was like building schools for like former slaves. And like that was his
Beauregard. Yeah. Well, they had no reason to take his statue down.
Yeah.
None whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's just ridiculous, man.
Yeah, it's just insane. And then, especially like in Louisiana with like, you know, like the Creole culture and like the, you know, like the, I mean, there were like plenty of like Creole generals in the Louisiana, you know, regiments. I mean, it wasn't like the rest of, you know, wasn't like going to North Carolina.
Yeah, that was, you know, we had mixed soldiers in Louisiana. We had black soldiers fighting for the Confederacy in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
It's just, I don't know what it is. It's, you know, I'm going to sound like an old man, but it's these young goddamn kids these days. You know,
well,
you don't know what the fuck they want, man.
Well,
you know, what happened to just existing, you know, just living and not bitching about everything?
Dude, every day I say the same thing, man.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
But, I mean...
People forgot it. You know, people forgot every day you wake up with a gift, you know?
Right.
And people wake up and just bitch about it constantly.
Yeah.
Social media gets to be too much for me sometimes, man. I got to dip out.
Yeah.
And, you know, take a breather.
Yeah.
People are just so ungrateful, you know?
Me too, man. And I think it's one of those things where it's like the closer you get to 40 and like you're kind of realizing like, oh, I'm not going to be, you know, the spry young dude in my 30s forever. And you're like, you know, you start to get a little bit more perspective at life and you're like, man, I'm really glad my parents, you know, worked hard so I could, you know, do this, or my grandparents sacrificed this so I could, you know, have this or do this, my great-grandparents and so on and so forth. And I feel like you get to a certain age where you start to feel like a real debt of gratitude, and you're like, oh, yeah. I gotta keep this rolling for like me and my kids and my grandkids or whatever.
Right. Yeah. For me, with the whole photography thing, it's not about money. I mean, to a degree it is, but you know, at the end of the day, it's not. It's my legacy. It's what I'm leaving behind for my kids.
Yeah.
You know, it's my work. You know, I can go out and I can pull fences all day long, and I can pay the bills, and I can, you know, work on motors, or I can work in a bike shop, or I can do anything to pay it, you know, get a paycheck. But my legacy is going to be that work that I did after that. Right. After the day was done, when I sat up and burned those hours and, you know, on the computer or outside with a camera aimed at the sky trying to get the perfect moon shot, or that's my legacy. And that's, you know, that's what for, you know. People forgot, you know, you have to, what are you here for?
Right.
You know, what are you going to leave?
Right.
You know, what was your mark? Make your mark, man, you know.
Yeah.
So that's my whole thing, trying to make a mark, man.
Yeah.
Just trying to make a mark.
Yeah, and there's a lot of pride that goes into that to have a legacy, because a lot of people nowadays are just like kind of shrug their shoulders and like kind of go about their lives, and I think that with creative people especially, that's something we all kind of strive for, is just to have like build that body of work and to have something, you know, to look back on and to share with our friends, but also our kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like it when people buy my prints, and you know, probably just that's a buzz for me, is walking into someone's home or getting pictures of, man, look at how great these prints look in my living room. That's a buzz for me.
Yeah,
you know, that's a good high. I love it. I live on it.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
It's a good thing.
So when you when you started out there in Louisiana just doing like band photography, when did you kind of take the show on the road?
When I got invited to just kind of come out and do some extra work, it was really one guy wanted to take pictures of the band, and they were in Texas, up in Lubbock, I believe, and we ended up. I couldn't get all the way to Lubbock, so we ended up meeting at like a truck stop doing the cute halfway kind of deal, and that's where it kind of started. And I started branching out further and further after that. Made a deal with some people, cover my travel, and I'm shooting for you, whatever you want, the entire time I'm there.
Right.
And I've done that quite a few times. My first Suicide Girl set, or wanna be hopeful set, was up in Pittsburgh.
Oh, wow.
And that was a complete free ride right there. And that was pretty awesome, Got to go up there and shoot and do my thing, and it was covered and had no worries. That was really the first trip that I kind of felt like somebody important, It was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't have to, every time I reached for my pocket, my client was like, no, I got you.
Nice.
It was pretty wild. And, after that, I was like, yeah, man, I can do this.
Yeah.
I can do it,
That's awesome.
But it's been a hell of a ride. I won't lie. It's been fun.
That's killer, man. When did you first get out to East Coast or West Coast?
West Coast, East Coast was first. Did some shooting in Charlottesville, Virginia, for a tattoo shop called Capital Tattoo.
Nice.
Did some promotional stuff for them. I used to do that as well for tattoo shops. I did promotional stuff when tattoo shops were the big rate on TV. All these shops wanted a photographer. They wanted a media person. So I ended up working in 2 shops here in Louisiana, strictly media. So that was my entire job, 7 days a week. Walk in, take pictures of clients, lifestyle, tattoos, piercings, and just catch the whole vibe, I worked in 2 shops doing that and got some travel work out of that as well for some other shops. And so, yeah, it's a lot of networking, a lot of word of mouth, letting the art speak for itself and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did West Coast first, East Coast first, and then I did the West Coast and did the whole thing with Dirty's Moonshine and the tattoo shop down in Lemoore. Those guys are fucking rad. They're awesome down there. Yeah. Been going back and forth for about 3 years now. Doing
Lucky,
that stuff with those guys, just bouncing back and forth and,
Yeah.
pretty much developed my tribe out there. I've got pretty much a whole family out there of people that, when I come into town, they take care of me pretty good. I love it.
Nice.
Royal treatment everywhere I go,
Oh, that's perfect, man. That's the way it ought to be.
Yeah. It's pretty good. I'm really thankful. I'm humble for the people that I work for. I'm really thankful for those people, that reach out and take a chance on, the coon ass from the swamp. I had a boss that, when I started this whole thing, it was one of the guys I was working for at a tattoo shop, actually, and he was one of those people. He'd never met me. He'd just seen my work, and he had to have me. He came to the tattoo shop I was working at and was like, look, I need you. What are they paying you here? I'll triple it. So, you got to go where you got to go,
Yeah.
But I was working there for about a year, and, popularity was taking off on a local level, and we sat down one day, and he's like, look, you started out as the guy people should get their pictures taken by, Your ultimate goal has to be that you need to be the man that people absolutely have to take their pictures. Right. So it's been that kind of thinking, just I have to be that guy. I have to be, you shoot with anybody else, you're fucking up. That's my whole thing, I'm not the best, but I'll give the best a run for its fucking money.
Right. Right.
So I take a lot of pride in my work, obviously,
Right.
I try not to have too much of an ego about it, but if I don't, I feel like I'll be stale, just like the rest of them.
Right.
You know, so Winston Wolf has to be the man, and that's what I'm working on. I want to be the man. You know, I want to be the guy that people call, or the guy that they have to have his work hanging on their walls, or, you know, that kind of thing. So I'm working on it. One day at a time.
Right, dude. You're killing it, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you, man.
Are you doing any like magazine work, or you just mostly doing like sticking to sort of like more promo stuff?
I've got some stuff going on. I can't really say too much about it.
That's all right.
Because it's a big deal, and it's kind of like I'm being watched, so to speak.
Yeah.
To see what happens before, and I know the opportunity is there, but the man who wants me to shoot for his publication wants to see more out of me.
Nice.
Essentially, is what I was told.
Yeah.
So my goal is to impress the eyes that are watching at this point. To try to get into that publication.
Oh, yeah.
That publication's been around a long time.
Good.
And, based in the West Coast. And I just can't openly say the name of it right now.
That's all right.
I'll get my ass in hot water.
That's all right.
I've got some stuff in the works with that magazine. I've got some stuff in the works with Louisiana Biker Magazine.
Mm-hmm.
The Moto Show, like I said before, I believe those guys have some stuff in the works with some magazines as well. So my work will end up in a roundabout way in those publications and, you know, stuff like that. What I do have, though, is, and I found this out recently, and I had no idea. I did this set for this tattoo artist, and it was a private photo session, and I did a lot of those. A lot of stuff that you see posted on Instagram is just work for my portfolio, really. I don't post a lot of client stuff, you know, confidentiality and whatnot.
Sure.
Private stuff. But this one set, this tattoo artist is really proud of. And then basically what it was that him and his girl in posed erotic position.
Uh-huh. Well,
he had a cousin who saw the pictures, and in a roundabout way, one of my shots ended up being printed, and it's hanging in the D.C. Urban Art Museum, as far as I know. I haven't seen it, so I can't verify it. But as far as I know, one of those shots is hanging in that museum.
Nice,
so,
man.
It's kind of a buzz, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
I want to get up there and see what's going on, you know. And I just found this out like a week ago. And I shot that set probably 9 years ago, 8 years ago. And yeah. So, and the guy that I shot in the set ended up, he's now a photographer, actually. He's not a tattoo artist anymore. He's a photographer now.
Nice.
He shoots primarily weddings, I believe.
Oh, cool.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny, man, because I'm friends with Josh, and I'm friends with Mikey Revolt, and then Mike V, and and I've dabbled a little bit in photography, like motorcycle photography, but it's funny because it's like people don't really have like a track, you know what I mean? It's like there's no like one way to do it. And, like you have somebody like Josh that went to art school, and then you have somebody like Mikey that just had he was in like a pretty good band, like a pretty well-known band, and then that ended and he kind of got bummed and he just picked up a camera for a creative outlet and then, took that to an extreme, and same thing with Mike V, just picked it up and started doing it. And it's funny, man, because I like how you didn't go for motorcycle photography. It's sort of it kind of found you on the back end. You kind of when I got on Instagram and I started following those two guys are fucking amazing. Yeah.
So to me, I don't want to. That's their thing. Those are the motorcycle guys. My thing is people.
Right.
My subjects are people. Shooting motorcycles is great and it's fun, and I love meeting people, but that's not my turn.
Right.
That's not my area of expertise. I ride, I love riding, and like I said, I'm not a biker. I'm just a motorcycle guy.
Yeah.
You know, but that's their forte. That's their thing, and primarily because they're around it constantly. You know, for me, it's not. I don't have choppers in my driveway every day, or I can't ride down the street and go to a cool shop and hang out with some dudes and ride. I'm pretty solo down here for the most part where I'm at. You know.
Right.
So. But my strong suit is people, and that's what I enjoy taking pictures of. I enjoy watching people. I'm a people watcher.
Yeah.
I like to catch moments, that's what I do. I catch moments.
Right.
I wait for the moment and I try to catch it. That's as simple as I can put
Yeah.
it.
And I think, like, that's kind of the essence of good photography. Like, I think it's cool that, like, there's more people that are doing, like, motorcycle oriented stuff, but I just enjoy good photography, man. Like, I enjoy people who can, like, be kind of like in the background and, like, just get a good shot, and, like, contextualize it and make it just like capture like a really compelling image. I love that. That's my favorite, man.
Yeah. One of my favorite photographers, actually, the photographer I admire the most is Robert Capa, wartime photographer.
Oh, yeah.
That's my guy. I hinge on his quotes. I hinge on his art.
Yeah.
Like he said, if your photos aren't good enough, you aren't close enough.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying. You can kind of see that with my art if you'll notice the consistency of closeness, a consistency of. I like to get to know my subjects beforehand.
Right.
With anything I do portfolio-wise, we take time, we hang out, we get to know each other. Because if there's no connection between the artist and the subject, then there's no photos whatsoever.
Right.
If there's no connection between us as friends, if we're not on the same level as what we're going for, and because I've had some extreme failures. I've had multiple ladies show up for my Man-Eater series, the series with Girls in Blood. I'm doing a whole book with that. And I've had girls show up and just completely freeze as soon as the blood hits them. They just lose it. They just can't do it. They got to get out the shower. They got to, we shoot everything in a shower with a screen, and they just lose it. They just can't do it. They can't take it seriously. Those shots are rare. When you see those are ladies that are badasses.
Right.
That's the way I can put it. They're badasses. If they've made it to the Man-Eater series, those are some bad gals.
Yeah,
they can do it, because I'm a demanding photographer. I really am. I smoke a lot of weed. I shoot barefooted. I yell. I scream. It's work for me. It's go time, and a lot of them, they're not ready for that.
Yeah.
But some of them are seasoned enough and they have known me long enough. They're like, let's do this. You're a madman. Let's get it done. I've got girls that will not shoot. I've got girls that will not shoot with anybody else.
Yeah.
They refuse.
Yeah.
They get hit up constantly and they're like, dude, no, my photographer lives over there and I'm going to shoot with him. And to me, that's insane. Go shoot with those people. Get yourself out there. But they refuse.
Yeah.
And I get told a lot it's because I'm a gentleman and I'm not creepy. Blah, blah, blah. Well,
dude,
I got a legacy to leave behind, I don't want to be known as a fucking dirtbag.
Well, but you know what, dude? That is another, like, Southern thing, man. Like, manners, like being a gentleman, treating a lady like a lady, like, I mean, it is. It's a different mindset. I shot some pictures for, like, my T-shirt, that I sell for the podcast, and I knew the girl, and I knew her around, like, we're friends, kind of acquaintances, really. But I was just like, hey, look, I know you don't know me very well, but, like, I'm not a creep. Like, if you are more than welcome, and I was like, in fact, I would insist if you're even a little uncomfortable, bring a friend, bring your boyfriend, bring somebody over. Like, not that anything's going to happen. You're free to go whenever you want. If you're uncomfortable, whatever. Like, I would never put you in that position. But, like, just know that, like, up front, like, I have no desire to make you feel uncomfortable or creeped out. And she was like,
Right.
I will happily shoot with you just because you put that up front. Because most guys don't, and it's such a like crapshoot to see like, you know, who these guys are going to be and how they're going to treat a model.
Right. And, you know, for me, the protocol for me is, you know, I primarily don't talk to the models. My wife does.
Uh-huh.
So and that's a big help, you know, having a girl come to him and say, hey, look, we like your look. We want to use you for this project.
Uh-huh.
This is my husband. He does all the shooting.
Uh-huh.
You know, so since she's been around, it's been a lot smoother. Before it was me having to meet people for coffee in public places and 2 or 3 meetings and, you know, the same thing. You know, if you feel uncomfortable, please. I insist that people bring an escort for a shoot.
Yeah.
Whether, you know, and whether they're coming to shoot a T-shirt promo, a hat promo, even glove promo, bring an escort.
Right.
You know, just so you feel comfortable. But, yeah, we do the same thing. We say the same thing, you know, just to have, you know, because you can't tell these days, man. It's nuts out there. You know, you don't know who's doing what.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I think, too, it's like with the internet and, like, so much, like, media saturation. I mean, like, you're a dude, you're on Instagram. It's like you constantly get, like, hit up with, like, Bubbles Delicious wants to follow you or, you know, whatever.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, like 10 times a day, you get, like, hit up by, like, you know, making air quotes, internet models. And you're like, okay, well, you know, what's your aim here, honey? Are you trying to just, you know, put your butt out there on Front Street? Or are you really want to do this serious? Or, you know, you trying to, you know, get into something else? Like, what's your handle here? And I think a lot of those people don't even think that far ahead. And so when they when they get in like a real position where it's just like you're with a creative artist who wants to capture something, they don't really know how to like let their trust down and like kind of engage. Yeah.
We've actually had to put it out there on social media that vagina is not currency. Blowjobs are not currency. That does not pay our bills.
Yeah.
So offering is just like, if you've got that mindset, if you're looking to get something extra, that we're not the people you're looking for. We're here to take your money. We're here to make you look good.
Yeah.
That's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
You know, and we've had quite a, man, I had one. It was this might take a little time, but it's totally worth it. It was a realtor. She's selling houses.
Uh-huh.
Well, she hits me up, and she wants a set done in the house she's listed. No problem. Shoot her a price. Next question, do you mind if I have somebody else in the shots? Price goes up. Not a problem. So it keeps going, and it keeps escalating. The questions keep getting more intense and more intense. And by the end of the questions, what she wanted done was her photographed being railroaded by 2 dudes in a listed house. Right. Now, after all this gets done, and I'm laughing, my old lady's right here with me, and she's like, fuck it, quote her. I quote her a price. She's good with the number, right? And when she loses the deal is, you know, blah, 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 I'm good with that price. How about a tip afterwards? Do you accept tips? And I'm like, sure, I accept tips. And she's like, well, how about I just swallow your meat? And my old lady's like, Jesus Christ. Like, really? Like, who buys houses from this lady? Like, yeah, true story, man. True story.
And you got to drive around town and, like, see her with, like, her arms crossed and, like, smiling, wearing, like, a blazer by my house.
Right. This woman's on, like, she's, like, on bus benches and shit. You know, it hits me up about getting pictures taken, you know, being railroaded from both ends by 2 dudes and her husband. Which, I mean, I don't have a problem shooting shit like that. I have zero problem as long as the cash is there. You know? I am not bashful. I am not shy. I will shoot that shit. It's all about, you know, when it comes to that, it's about paying the bills.
Mercenary, man. Know? You got to be a mercenary, dude.
Yeah.
So, when did Lauren, your girl, come into the picture?
5 years ago.
Yeah.
5 years ago, I'll tell you, let me go ahead and correct that. 8 years ago, We didn't start dating until 5 years ago.
Uh-huh.
We were just friends. I had gone through a gnarly split up. Full custody dad of the 8-year-old.
Yeah.
You know, that typical story you hear these days of moms just not wanting to be a mom anymore.
Right.
That I was one of the, I fell victim to that, you know, and which I'm completely happy it happened the way it did.
Mm-hmm.
My child is better off with me, you know, and whatever. But yeah, we were friends through her cousin, who's a tattoo artist. We worked together, and we, you know, just been friends, and we hung out a few times, and you know, it just kind of, she was my best friend for a few years, and I just didn't want to be around anybody else anymore. And she was the one. She stepped up to be a mom to my daughter. She, you know, she was there for sick days. She was there. You know, she's right in my face the entire time. You know, even watching me go through follies with these other women, and you know, she sat. You know, she held fast because she knew at some point I'd open my eyes, and she was right. So it's been, you know, paradise ever since. Really, I cannot complain one bit. I love that woman.
Yeah, that's great, man. That's
yeah,
awesome.
She's pretty, like, and I'm gonna be completely honest. You know, 5 years ago I was ready to hang it up. You know, because I had to be a dad. You know, I had to work all the time. I didn't have time for it.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of took over, and she pushed me back out there, man. She was like, "Look, you're good at this. You need to do this." So, yeah, she's the gas in the motor, man.
Yeah,
she does it.
That's rad, man. That's amazing.
Oh yeah. She's 100% supportive, man. And even, you know, with shooting, you know, other women and naked broads, and you know, she's like, whatever, do your thing, man. That's your thing. You know, that's rare.
Yeah.
That's rare. She's not jealous. She's not. She knows she's the only one. You know, it's a good thing. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, that's brilliant, man. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
So you got your secret magazine project you can't talk about. You got any other?
No.
You got any other big stuff coming down the bend?
Let's see. You're a heavy metal fan, right?
A little bit.
Yeah, Crowbar?
Yeah.
Getting Crowbar soon.
Sure. Nice.
Yeah, I've done High on Fire, Crowbar, The Sword, actually, recently. I still have to publish those pictures. I haven't gotten around to finishing and taking them off the camera yet.
Uh-huh.
Hung out with those guys 2-3 weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
Ate dinner, you know, real down-to-earth fellas. So, yeah. Let's see what else we got going on. Let's see. I'm doing this thing. I've got pretty much, I invite every rider that's in my area to stop by and kind of do like what you're doing now, but it's not documented. The only documentation is me taking a picture.
Right.
So I'm building on that project too. Storing the pictures. Maybe I'll do a little book or something with all these people and a little story eventually, you know.
Yeah.
But other than that, we're just trying to hustle up, you know, summertime gigs.
Right.
Small family shoots, you know, bands, whatever we can, you know, just to keep the train going.
Cool, man. You ever check out that Running Rich photo book?
No, actually, I haven't. I'm really lazy about checking things out, man.
Yeah.
You know, but once somebody brings it to my attention, I'm pretty hell bent on getting at it, so I'll check it out for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. This kid I met at Apocalypse Run, Brandon Fisher, he does it. It's like a collaborative photo compilation. It's pretty cool. Do you do like any shows? Like, do you display your work at like Michael Lichter type stuff, or like any galleries?
You know, I've had offers from the West Coast to come out, bring my work, bring some prints, we'll set up. But actually, I haven't. The Motor Show coming up in November will be the first show that I actually go to, set up, and sell prints. I've got an open invite to Born Free. A buddy of mine has a booth, and he's like, you know, man, come out. You get here, I got you. You can share my booth with me, sell your prints.
Right.
But, you know, it's California, so it's a bit of a haul right now for me.
Yeah.
From Louisiana to go sell prints at Born Free.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to build up my inventory and take my time, one show at a time, and start with the Moto Show and pretty much see where it goes from there.
Yeah. That's cool, man. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Cool,
the
buddy.
Prints are doing really good, though. So.
What's that?
I said the Prints are doing really good on, Instagram and Facebook and whatnot. So, hopefully when I get down there, it'll be a different vibe for people to walk up and actually buy the print from me and, be able to talk to me about the artwork and stuff. So.
Yeah. I feel like people at shows like that, if you have some like good images out there and you're just kind of there like selling yourself and your art, people are a little more willing to buy.
Yeah. And I get a lot of people that ask me, is Winston Wolf your real name?
Uh-huh.
Well, of course not. Fuck no, it's not my real name. Well, what's your real name? I'm not telling you. Well, why? Nobody's going to buy the art from the guy with my name. Winston Wolf's a little more, memorable, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody can remember Winston Wolf,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
How'd you settle on that? How'd you settle on that handle?
Funny story. I showed up to a friend of mine's house to do a shoot with a model for a T-shirt promo.
Uh-huh.
I get there, and the girl is essentially sitting up, drooling foam out her mouth, completely fucking wasted, about to OD.
Oh, Jesus.
And real Pulp Fiction situation.
Right.
It's Winston Wolf. It kind of stuck. It kind of stuck after that. Yeah. It was a whole scene. But yeah, it was a whole scene. I had to show up and solve some problems, and I actually ended up shooting that day. I actually ended up shooting my buddy and his girl in like an erotic set that day. I was like, I'm here. I've saved this bitch's life. I need some content. What are we doing? So, yeah. That's how that went down. And I actually have those prints. I actually have prints from that day in my print store right now. It's a print called Madam, and it's a 3-print set and one photo. Yeah, it's a 3-picture set and one photo, but one print of a girl arched back. There's some boobs going on and stuff like that. But that's from that day. Every picture has a story.
Yeah.
And mine tend to be kind of fucking hilarious from time to time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so.
Cool.
That wasn't the first OD encounter at all, by any means. But that's where the name got stuck. Yeah, that's where it came from.
Yeah. So, that's perfect, man.
I'm just running with it until I get sued by Quentin Tarantino.
I've never met Quentin Tarantino, but like 3-4 years ago, maybe. God, maybe even a little longer. I interviewed this guy, Larry Bishop, who was in a bunch of like 60s biker movies, and he was in Kill Bill. He was the nightclub manager where Michael Madsen comes in, and he's like,
"Gotcha,
yeah, that dude." So
that guy.
So I interviewed him, and he wrote Hell Ride, that biker movie Quentin Tarantino made, and super interesting dude, man. Like his dad was in the Brat Pack, so like, or the Rat Pack, the Rat Pack,
yeah.
And Joey Bishop was his dad, and so we talk. I do an interview for Greasy Culture magazine. He's super talkative, rad dude. I wish I would have done him for the podcast, but that didn't exist then. But I might try to hook up with him later. But anyway, so I end up sending him a couple copies of the magazine, and he really liked it. And he got back with me. He was just like, "Hey, just to let you know, I really, like the piece you did in the magazine. The magazine looks great. I like, the quotes you pulled out, and you really captured, the conversation, because we talked for like an hour and a half." And he's just like, you did a great job. And he's like, "I wanted to let you know that Quentin stopped by, and I told him about the magazine, and I gave him a copy, and he was really excited about it." And so my small claim to fame is At some point, I envision on the back of Quentin Tarantino's toilet a magazine with a story that I wrote.
Right on.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
My claim to fame is Lou Diamond Phillips bummed all my cigarettes and then went home and beat his old lady. True story.
Jeez.
True story. Working on a film in Baton Rouge, man. Lou's on the film. Lou comes in, bums all these cigarettes, flirts with your girlfriend, goes home and beats up his old lady.
Ugh.
Goes to jail 2 weeks later.
Jeez, man.
Super rad guy, though. He let me call him a greedy Navajo. He was cool about it. He laughed every time. Because he was like Mrs. Mark, and he'd missed the camera cut. You know, he'd missed 2 times. He'd missed all kind of shit. And I'm like, come on, you greasy Navajo, get it together. And he just chuckled. Yeah, he was cool. Yeah. And he'd bum my cigarettes and flirt with my girlfriend.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool guy. Met Martin from Cole, the Pinky from Friday, Clifton Powell Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made movies with all those dudes, man. All those cats.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, Tiny Lister Jr., super rad guy. Can't read for shit. Super rad guy.
Yeah. It's cool, man. And, you know, I don't know how, like, your conception of fame, but, like, when I've met, like, you know, famous people or successful people, I'm just like, oh, they're just like normal people. You know, they're like eating a hamburger or whatever. They're just doing, like, normal stuff. And then sometimes I'll, like, I'll talk about it with, like, you know, my family or whatever. And they'll just, like, look at me, and I'm like, no, I really, you know, met so-and-so and talked to him. And they're like, no, you're just making that up. And I'm like, no, they're just, like, normal people. And they just have, like, you know, you see them on the screen for, like, 2 minutes or whatever. And then they go off and, you know, deal with the rest of their life.
That's how I am with the rock stars, man. I don't treat them like rock stars whatsoever. They're just normal dudes, you know?
Right.
Yeah, like Matt Pike from High on Fire, for example. One of the nicest people you will meet on the face of the planet. Walk straight up to him, and I'm like, hey, man, you want to smoke a joint? He looks directly at me. He said, yeah, man, help me park this van, and we're going to get down. Just got to be normal with them, man. Be a normal person. Treat them like normal people, because that's all they are. That's all we all are. We're normal people, man.
Yeah.
You know, whether at the end of the day, whether I sell 5,000 prints or 5, I'm still going to be the same loudmouth coon-ass, you know? Nothing will ever change, you know?
Yeah.
No matter who I shoot, no matter who I work for, no matter how much money I make or don't make, I'm still going to be true to my craft and myself and the people around me, you know?
Yeah,
there are no rock stars in Winston Wolf's world. There are no movie stars. Everybody's scum.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah, dude, don't change.
Yeah. Oh, no, hell no. Fuck that. Too much change going on. Yeah. Somebody's got to stay solid.
Yep. That's you. Cool, man. Well, hey, thanks a lot for talking to me. I really appreciate it.
Hey, man, anytime. Glad to have the opportunity. Looking forward to hearing myself.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, that was my talk with Winston Wolf. You can keep up with Winston on Instagram, and his profile is Winston, like the cigarette, __Wolf, WOLF, or you can check out his Big Cartel store, and that is theartofwinstonwolf.bigcartel.com. He's got a bunch of prints and some other stuff on there, so definitely check him out and give him your hard-earned money. Just a quick thing about creative people, whether you're a photographer, whether you are a musician, whether you're a graphic artist, whether you make movies, write poetry, you're a professional dancer, you are an architect, or you build motorcycles or hot rods, or, you know, custom homes. If you are an artist or an artisan, you need clients. You need patrons. You need people to support your art and your craft. And when you're getting ready to buy something simple like some art for your home, or maybe a new shirt, or have a motorcycle built, or just some repair work done on your motorcycle, or anything of that nature, definitely check out my guests, because they're all top-notch people in their craft. They're all nice people. They're all decent people. None of them are shady. None of them are going to rip you off. And you'll get an awesome, personalized, one-of-a-kind product that you can't buy at Walmart, that you can't buy at Kmart, that you just can't buy off the street. So support the people that I interview. My guests are great people. They got a lot of passion, but they need your support. As always, I still got the Big Cartel store. You can buy some shirts. I still have the Patreon. You can become a subscriber, or you can just make a one-time contribution. Any support you can give to the show, I very much appreciate. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this short. I have a meeting this evening regarding a music project. So as that gets fleshed out, I will give you guys some updates. Follow us on Instagram. That is rulers_and the word _riders. Also be sure to check out the show blog. The link will be in the show notes, and I'm going to have a lot of content that Winston was good enough to share, as well as links to all of his social media and website. That's going to do it for this show. Remember, we're on a bi-weekly schedule, so the next show will be 2 weeks from this Thursday. Thanks for tuning in. I always appreciate the feedback and your support. And until the next time, we'll see you down the road.